Dear Lord, thank you for all the many blessings you've given our town. We just give you all the praise and glory for that. We ask you to thank you for lifting up those families in Hunt, Texas, for the children and adults that were lost in the flood. Please just be with them. Let them know you're there and you love them. And just wrap your arms around them. That's all we can ask. Be with us tonight and give us counsel, the wisdom, and the courage to do what's best for our town. Everything we do and say, we give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, call the meeting to order. And so before we get to our public comments, we got our attorney, Mac, is here with us tonight. And Melanie's not here, but Mac is our land use attorney, and he has an announcement he'd like to make.
Mayor, at the request of the town manager and the planning director, I've started some research on family care homes. It's not complete, but I should have that for you in a couple of weeks. And I understand that a lot of folks are concerned and have questions about that. Hope to have something back to you as quickly as I can.
And can you tell us a little bit about your experience so they can know who you are?
This is my 48th year as a North Carolina municipal attorney, including 13 as city attorney for Greenville, North Carolina, and 17 as city attorney for Charlotte.
Right, so we put a lot of trust in Mac, so thank you for being here and explaining that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have our public comments, so 3 minutes, state your name and address, and then tell us what you think. So first up is Ms. Carol Hall.
Honorable members of the town of Stallings, we, the concerned citizens of Stallings, respectfully address this council to express our deep frustration and outrage regarding the oversaturation of sober living homes in our community and the lack of transparency surrounding their establishment. While we recognize the importance of supporting recovery and providing resources for those in need, the rapid proliferation of these facilities established without public input or clear oversight has raised significant concerns among residents. The lack of open communication about the placement, regulation, and operation of sober living homes has left our community feeling unheard and disregarded. Residents are troubled by issues such as increased traffic, safety concerns, and the potential impact on property values, compounded by the perception that these decisions are being made in secrecy. We believe that a balanced approach, one that supports recovery while addressing the legitimate concerns of residents, is essential to maintaining the harmony and well-being of Stallings Park subdivision. We respectfully request the following actions from you, the council. 1, increase transparency. Implement a clear and public process for approving and monitoring sober living homes, including notification and opportunities for input before facilities are established. 2, regulatory oversight. Enforce strict guidelines to ensure sober living homes operate responsibly with regular inspections and adherence to zoning laws. 3, community engagement. Hold public forums to allow Stallings residents to voice their concerns, ask questions, and collaborate with officials to find solutions that balance the needs of all stakeholders. 4, put a cap on facilities. Consider establishing a reasonable limit on the number of sober living homes within specific areas of Stallings to prevent oversaturation and to maintain neighborhood stability.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hall. Next up is Mr. Jeff Williams. And if you could state your address, please, for the record.
Yeah, Jeff Williams, 5500 Two Iron Drive in Emerald Lake Subdivision.
Yes, sir.
I believe there is going to be some repaving in the Emerald Lake subdivision coming soon. Two items related to that that I wanted to speak about, which there may be a better way to surface this, but while I was here, is we'd like to submit, a few of us have these traffic evaluation reports, request forms to submit for some speed humps that we'd like to see put in on the Forwood and Threewood area. A lot of speeding going on coming in, especially coming in off of Rock Hill Shores Road. All kinds of cars, delivery vans, you name it, everything. And we're hoping that while there's an effort to repave, this would be a great time to put those in. I believe that's coming soon, so I don't know if we're timely enough to get these in. One is, I know it says to turn this into a town engineer, but is there a way I can deliver these tonight? Or at least, give these to someone?
Sure, just give them to our clerk over here, and we'll get them to the town engineer, and he'll be in touch.
Yep. Second item to that is, from what I've heard at least, I don't know if this is accurate, is Forwood and Threewood. There is a connecting street that I actually live on that, Two Iron Drive, that connects into Forwood. It's a very short cul-de-sac. I don't know if that's on the list. I wanted to see if that could be also added as a repaving effort. It's a short little cul-de-sac that connects into Forwood.
He would know, our town engineer would know, and he can get in touch with you. And we got your name and number here, and just, the clerk here, Ms. Nichols.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Next up is Ms. Kim Stevens.
And one of them was at my house. The SUV ran over my mailbox, destroyed part of our yard, and ran head-on into my neighbor's tree. If someone would have been standing at the end of my driveway, they would have been seriously injured or killed. The other accident was right across the street from my house. My neighbor's SUV was parked on the side of the road. It was hit so hard by a compact car that it was pushed up onto the sidewalk. All vehicles in both accidents were total, which gives you an idea of how fast they were driving, even the school buses are speeding in our neighborhood. A speed study was done on Forwood Drive in September of 2023. They didn't place the gigantic speed check sign on the sidewalk, so it was placed directly blocking part of the road, so people had to slow down. Also, it monitored drivers coming into the neighborhood, not going out. And these speed checks will slow people down because they know they're calculating speed for possible bumps to be installed, which results in incorrect speed calculation. I am aware that during the speed study that one of my neighbors asked to have speed humps installed, and they were told you have to get 70% of the neighborhood to approve it, which will be impossible because it doesn't affect most people and they don't like the speed humps. Speed humps were installed on two major roads in the neighborhood, Flagstick and Emerald Lake Drive. But for some reason, the stretch on the back end of Emerald Lake was overlooked, and it's really causing a lot of problems with the speeding. And I don't think that signing a petition is the answer. It's a matter of safety concerns, not people's opinions.
All right. Thank you, Kim. As far as the speeding, Chief of Police is here. He's heard your concerns, but if y'all want to speak to him on your way out, I'm sure I'm sure they're know about it, but, he's here tonight. So if y'all want to talk to him about the speeding, there you go. But
And I also have some evaluation request ones too
yeah, just,
for you, and I also attached my police report to from the accident that happened at my house.
all right. Thank you, Ms. Steve. Thank you. All righty, we have, next up is our consent agenda, A, B, C, D, and E. Anybody have any questions on any of these? Need to move it to the regular agenda?
No, Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
All right, motion by Brad,
I'll second.
second by Stephen, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, reports. Now, I did send y'all that, that vape study that Fox News put out about the carcinogens. I was opposed to us having it in our list of uses. So I just wanted to, I saw it on the internet there, so I wanted to make everybody aware of, there's health studies out there about vaping and e-cigarettes causing cancer. So I just don't think it's something the town needs to support. So, but I know we're restricted on land use, on uses, so we need to figure out a way around that. But I'm sure Max has given us a way around that, put it in industrial areas, but we'll see what happens, but go from there. All right, Graham, you got anything for us?
No, sir.
Laurie?
No.
Stephen?
Hey, just one small thing, just, it's hot out there. I mean, and we've got a lot of workers working outside. We had workers working out in 100-degree weather this past weekend. Just everybody be aware of that. And, just, keep them in there. Just know that they're out there day in and day out, 100-degree weather at the moment. Take care of them.
Thank you, Stephen. David?
Nothing tonight.
All right, Brad?
No, sir.
All right, Alex, town manager, anything for us tonight?
Yes, sir. One brief report. I've got a budget line item transfer for June, submitting to you as a matter of routine. This is the end of the fiscal year, so it's a lengthy report, but we submit it to the board for transparency purposes every month. Thank you.
All right. Any of our town units, any report? Any of the towns? Chief, anything? All right, thank y'all. All right, we got our agenda approval there. So any additions or amendments? Anybody want to add anything?
Move approval of the agenda as written, Mayor.
All right, motion by Brad, second by David, all in favor? Ayes have it, all right. First up is the annexation of Mill Creek. We'll open the public hearing, and, but we're going to defer it until August 11th.
I believe you have a request to defer. Since you've opened the public hearing, the correct motion would be to continue this, so you don't have to re-advertise.
Okay. So can I get a motion to continue the public hearing on August 11th?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, was the request to defer Mr. Shong until October?
Oh,
Okay. And what was the date certain on October? I can look it up here. October 14th. Yes.
Rather than next month.
yeah, so so we need a motion to defer it till October 14th.
Continue it.
So
Continue.
continue the public hearing on October 14th. So is that your motion, Lori?
Yes, it is.
Okay, second? Can I
I'll
get a
second.
Second by Stephen. All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Next up is our CZ 25.02.03, the 3919, 3927 Pleasant Plain, conditional zoning. I'll open the public hearing and turn it over to,
Mayor?
Mr. Mayor,
For both?
got the conditional zoning as well that's attached to Mill Creek.
yeah, oh, I thought we got to make a
We
motion
need
on
to do
both
that.
of them.
And
Need
yes,
to
sir.
open that public hearing and then continue it
Okay,
to
sorry about that.
October 14th.
All righty. Can somebody do that? Make a motion to,
I move that we defer this project till October 14th.
Continue.
Continue.
Continue the public hearing to October 14th.
Okay. Public hearing until October 14th.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Laurie, second by Stephen. Thank you, Mac.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, all right. Keep us in line, there we go. So now we're up to, number 6 here, CZ 25.02.03. I'll open the public hearing and turn it over to Max.
Applicant, who is here tonight, Mona T LLC, requesting conditional zoning to town center. Several slides in here to that kind of zoom out a little bit on the aerial. But at the bottom of the slide is Pleasant Plains Road. Right behind Pleasant Plains Road, you have a streetscape with pavers and concrete. Then you have 12 shop front units, which are a combination of commercial retail on the bottom and apartments up top. A parking lot for the commercial retail apartments. And in the rear, there's townhomes. And it's a combination of 3-story and 2-story townhomes. Here's another site plan that's kind of more illustrative in nature. And the applicant's also going to go into more detail on the site plan, but just kind of gives you an idea of more of an idea of what it looks like than just the submitted conditional zoning site plan. The reason that they're doing a conditional zoning is because the base zoning town center doesn't allow residential by right. So they have to require a conditional zoning with a site plan and conditions that request council approval. So that's why we're here tonight. Here's an aerial of the site, and I have a zoomed out slide on the next slide. As you can see, there's 2 homes on the properties and 2 parcels. And you can see in context, it's close to the Potter and Pleasant Plains intersection and Old Monroe Road with the Roxborough Barbecue Place. It's in between like kind of right in the middle of those 2 points. Some additional information, for example, open space and tree saves are not required in town center zoning. The watershed's 12 Mile Creek, and there are no greenway master plans for this area. In traffic impact analysis, it doesn't meet the threshold for 1,000 daily trips. The future land use for the property is town center, and this does meet the goal of future land use for apartments, townhomes, retail. The comprehensive land use plan that was adopted in 2017. Additionally, we have a town center small area plan. The area in question is in this small red box. It's much easier to see on a computer screen when I'm making the slides, but if you can see my mouse move, it's in this area in question, which is requesting a mixed use and retail in this small area plan, which was, I think, adopted in 2019 as well. So it does meet the small area plan. Additionally, we have a streetscape master plan that was adopted in 2023 that identifies this area to have streetscape design standards. The applicant's proposing a 6-foot paver strip with a 12-foot sidewalk, and then the commercial shop fronts, and you can see that in this rendering below. So you can see the 6-foot pavers, then the 12-foot concrete sidewalk, and then the shop front units on Pleasant Plains Road. Our streetscape master plan calls for a 14-foot paver strip, which are the decorative bricks, and an 8 to 10-foot concrete sidewalk. What they're proposing aligns more with our base typical form, and I'm going to go into detail on the streetscape form, I think the next slide, well, after this one. how we get to, what type of streetscape they're required to do, there's a matrix, that kind of says yes or no, based on, and asks you a few of the following questions, to determine what type of streetscape they're required to do in town center. And this is the typical streetscape form that they're required to do. And since it's on a main thoroughfare on Pleasant Plains Road, it's required to be a downtown course typical form. And in summary, it's the third rendering right here where my mouse is circling. So I know it's that's a lot of technical details, but I just wanted to let you know that's how we determine what type of streetscape is required. And they're requesting a deviation from this plan. Here's also a map, kind of detailing what type of streetscape goes where. I made it for specifically for tonight. So green, the subject conditional zoning in question is right underneath the legend, and the green is a typical streetscape downtown core form that doesn't require a greenway. So they're not putting in a greenway, and they're required to put in the town center, or sorry, the downtown core form typical streetscape. And the reason this might sound complicated is because we've never had an applicant submit for streetscape before. This is our first. So this is the first time explaining it in a conditional zoning sense. And then the orange has a greenway plan streetscape. We've had multiple meetings on this item. We had the neighborhood meeting back on April 1st. We had the subcommittee meeting May 20th, council, or planning board May 17th, which they did recommend approval. And then tonight's the town council meeting. So this is a lot of text on the staff recommendation, but for example, on the right are the agreed to conditions that the applicant agreed to. It's included on the site plan, and then I also put it in the memo that attached to the conditional zoning memo in your agenda packet. But staff also, we do recommend approval of this conditional zoning, but we have some suggested conditions that we'd like to add to it. So for example, we have some really general conditions, so like all required permits from federal, state, or local authorities must be obtained before construction begins. And then development must substantially conform to the approved concept plan, including layout, building design, site features. Any significant changes require town approval. The vesting rights from 2 to 5 years due to sewer capacity constraints. We are requesting that they build a streetscape per plan as part of our conditions, but the applicant's requesting a deviation from the plans tonight. So that's up for town council consideration. The streetscape shall comply with typical streetscape plan types in the streetscape master plan. And this is just a random condition from the subcommittee meeting that was mentioned, that the property must incorporate Miller Stone in the name or marketing to align with town center branding guidelines. And we don't have to include that one, but I just wanted to put it out there because that was mentioned at some point. This plan does comply with the future land use plan and the future land use map and the comprehensive land use plan, the small area plan, and it does incorporate streetscape, even though it doesn't conform with the streetscape that they're requesting, including its first development of its kind, or in the town to do so. Do you have any questions for me for the conditional zoning?
Can you just tell me again what the requirement is for the streetscape and, or the strip, and then the sidewalks and what they're,
So this slide kind of shows it all. For example, so at the bottom is what they've submitted, and it's a 6-foot paver strip, which is a decorative stone,
So
and
this,
a 12-foot concrete sidewalk.
just to clear it, this is what we require.
This is what they're proposing.
Oh, this is what they're proposing. Okay.
Okay, so that's what they're proposing.
right.
And what we're required for in town center is a 14-foot paver strip along the frontage on Pleasant Plains Road and an 8 to 10-foot sidewalk.
So they're proposing 14 foot and 6.
12-foot sidewalk and 6 of 18 feet total. And then we're requiring,
We've got,
and we require 14-foot paver, and let's say we would want a 10-foot sidewalk, but let's say it's 8 feet, then that's 22 feet. So it's 4 feet difference.
okay, so what's up there where it says 6 and 14? Don't pay any attention to that.
That's the base form.
Okay.
You're required to do a downtown core form, so I should have pasted a third picture. The base form is 6 foot pavers, should be 8 to 10 foot sidewalk. And the only time you base form is when you're creating a new downtown street. The core form is required on Pleasant Plains, Stallings Road, Potter Road, Stallings.
Mr. Chung, is that more like a side street type? But the base is more for a side street. Here, this isn't maybe the main thoroughfare, but this is more, still an important thoroughfare for town. It's right there, there's a lot of traffic, it's prominent. So I agree and support Max and his recommendation there.
And the reason I recommend approval is it's the first streetscape that's in the town. It's gonna boost interest in the town center, economic development, and this specific streetscape form, yes, it would set a precedence along this specific section of Pleasant Plains, but the other side of Pleasant Plains and the other areas on Pleasant Plains and Potter Road do not have to reflect that. You can require different type of streetscapes.
I'm just, there, I'd asked you a question before, and there's another 2 foot. We've got 8 foot, 14 feet, and then there's like another 2 foot. What,
I know, I explained this like really in detail for a year in the streetscape
I
plan.
know.
And it's been like 2 years since I've explained it.
I
It's
apologize.
a lot of information in that. So, could you repeat your question? Sorry, I interrupted you.
So I understand the 8 and the 14, but then there's another 2 foot, not, I mean, I understand the curb 2 foot. What's the 2 foot on the inside? What? When we were talking before, you mentioned that there's like 4 sections. There's the 2 foot, which is the curb. There's the paver section, which is 8 to 10 feet. And then there's the concrete, which is 14 feet. And then there was like a 2 foot.
Yeah, the paver strip doesn't include like the curb and that width.
Okay.
So it doesn't, it's not reflected on the plan.
Okay.
I think what we discussed, is not specifically shown on the plan.
Okay.
It is conceptual in nature.
And then on the, in the conditions, it actually says a streetscape of 38 feet.
Yeah, that was what they originally proposed, and that didn't conform with the plan either.
Okay.
Because what the applicant, when they were looking at the streetscape plan, originally, we, they looked at the first greenway streetscape that we required.
Okay.
And per our conversation, we determined actually that's not the correct conformity. So that condition doesn't need to change.
Okay. Got it. Got it. All right. Sorry.
No problem.
The applicant's here tonight as well.
Yeah, are you finished with your presentation? Okay, yeah.
I have one question for the
Yes, sir.
planning director. Which of these conditions has the applicant agreed to?
Yes, so all of them on the right. Actually included on their site plan, and I incorporated larger in the memo, so you can read it. I just posted here because that's what the approved. Everything on the left with my approval, they have not yet agreed to, but I wanted to make sure that they were suggested to my consideration.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, Graham?
Yeah, I have a question. Timing. Is there, in order to get their CPO on the residential,
there has been no condition input.
That hypothetically say they build the building for the top, commercial at the bottom.
That's why I added this one development must substantially conform to the approved concept plan, which is recommending shop front commercial, including layout, building design, and site features. I put this all together and it ended up being a very congested slide, but it's really difficult to put all of these conditions on one slide in a
Gotcha.
good way.
That's fair.
So I do believe that would count, because they are request, it says shop front commercial on the site plan.
But
I guess last thing is, I know there's gonna be vision, gonna be work at the intersection. Yeah, has there been has that come up, any consideration of how building this development with that construction going on?
Potter and Plaza Plains is supposed to be wrapped up by the end of September. Their contract was only 18 months, and
Well, I guess, yeah, then what was the timing of this? What would be the timing?
Oh, I see what you're saying. This would still have to go through site plan approval, which for months and months, so it would be passed,
Widen the road as much as they're gonna widen it for the intersection. Not gonna,
Pleasant Plains and Potter West. So it's still under construction, but they're not required to do any traffic improvements by the way. But there's a lot of road projects in the area. There's Potter and Pleasant Plains. There's McKee Road extension possibility. There's the interchange on 485 in Matthews, Weddington. There's the Oldham Road widening as well that affects this. There's there are a lot of road projects that we have not seen the impacts of yet for the area because they haven't started construction.
Any other questions from Max? All right, the applicants here? All right.
Design Partners, landscape architect, and spent 25 years doing urban planning design and community planning design. Do I need to say my address or anything?
No. No, there you go.
blood type.
So, yeah, so I'm gonna go through the presentation. Some slides I'm gonna go fast because they're redundant. Really good questions. I'm personally really excited about this project because I think for Stallings, this is an exciting project. It's tough to go from 0 to 100, right? It's tough to go from no town center to implementing a vision for town center. So you've got the pieces in place with policy, and I think projects like this are a good catalyst for advancing that vision. You're asking really good questions too, because even myself, and I've done urban planning for 25 years, I'm kind of having a difficult time interpreting streetscape standards and how that applies. And I can tell from this council, you guys have the same questions. So I'm hoping I can address some of that in this presentation. And then hopefully you guys can continue the discussion externally, because there's a lot that has to be addressed as we move forward. Not for this project, but just in perpetuity. So yeah, here's the project. So tonight,
I'm not gonna read that off to you, but I'm gonna go through relevant information, the project, the streetscape, the standards, the town center, what we can do with the town center, and ultimately get back to the streetscape conversation. Case number, all the developer, we went through all this. You guys are aware of the site now, so no need to really go to get to this. I will address the proximity of Old Monroe Road to the site. It's been a question that came up in the past, so I'll address that here momentarily. And then just again, the plan showing in purple the town center. So based on the comp plan, we're literally on that outer east edge on Pleasant Plains for the town center. So what is town center? I suspect or assume you guys know what town center is, because it hasn't been implemented yet. You may not, and I apologize now that I look at this white text. It's hard to read, but that's okay. It's not really applicable. The black text is taken straight from your code, the development ordinance. And so I just thought I'd just kind of, I'm not gonna read it to you, but this is kind of what town center is looking for. So town center, the other component then is the type of buildings that would be proposed for the town center. So the primary one in this case is the shop front, which is pictured here as an example of a shop front. The focus would be on the scale. It's really important. Obviously, to accommodate what's up here, retail, commercial, restaurants, there's a variety of uses. And of course, if you've been in any other like more urban town or environment, you shop and work on the streetscape, a lot of that is considered like a shop. So as we move through shop front, some character imagery. This is by no means what we're proposing, by the way. I just want to use this as context because shop front is extremely important. The blended architectural style is important. I'll get that in a moment as well, but the contextual scale is imperative. So pedestrian experience, the first floor experience, the interaction at the door, the street, the sense of comfort from the road, from the corridor, from vehicles, is all extremely important to a viability of a shop front in commercial retail. So being that this will be the first of its kind in the town center, there's a little bit of, I wouldn't say flexibility, but certainly a little bit of risk from the developer's perspective. So we'll kind of circle back on that in a moment too. But so on the top is just an image from the small area plan for the town center. Captures kind of the look and feel, a little bit of the scale, the materiality. So you guys have seen that picture. The second one is in Matthews, right across from the post office. It came up in conversation with others. And so I just thought I'd show that, not so much because that's what we're going to do, but that distance off the curb is similar to what this will be on Pleasant Plains. And then the scale of the building, which I'm also going to get to momentarily, but we're proposing a two-story structure on Mount Plains, which is complementary to the scale. And the town center ordinance actually allows up to 45 feet, but again, being first, we feel like that was a little tall for the scale of the street. And then the bottom one is just an image of that blended architectural style. So, and that's for Stallings. You guys have to decide what is your identity as we advance. But are you going to be all brick like Matthews? I hope not personally, but it's your choice. So I think the idea of blended materiality, maybe a little more contemporary and architecture, and this is just an idea of that. We studied a little bit of the architectural precedent. Again, this is by no means comprehensive, but when you look around Stallings, a lot of it was the older traditional single-story homes. The materiality was pretty common. It was brick, it was stone, and then there was sort of siding. Front porches seem to be a big deal here, which is great to see. You don't see that a whole lot anymore. And then on the bottom was more just kind of the newer development where we have gotten 2 stories, a little more materiality and density. But this is kind of some of the precedent in Stallings right now. This is more for materiality, complementary materiality than anything. And these images are by no means what we're proposing. And again, I wanted to show these. This is part of the lot type building standards in your development ordinance for attached home. So the text is just verbatim from your code, which is what we're trying to achieve. These images just show some what can be creativity is in the look and feel of a townhome. got some front loaded on the top. You've got pretty, variety of architectural features and elements and form on that septic image. And so that one kind of, capitalizes on the front porch feel, which is very community centric. So, you know, there's a variety of options you can do with townhomes. The bottom was just another complementary blended, townhome or attached house concept, but not what we're proposing. So we start talking about what we might be, you know, similar concepts or precedent imagery then. And again, these are not what we're doing, but these would be more in scale and what we feel like maybe materiality in this development. Our goal would be to have masonry and some maybe hardy board siding of sorts, if you will, a variety of materials, the scale, primarily 2-story, maybe some 3-story, which we'll get to. And then this just shows the 2-car garage concept, the front porch in the middle with rear loaded, and then you've got what would be a little more denser application to achieve parking where you surface park in lieu of garage. You get more square footage, but you don't get a garage. Okay, so the original site plan we submitted, and you already saw the new one, but some things we really focused on and some of the comments that came from council and planning commission was connectivity to adjacent properties. So we've addressed that with the new concept plan. We've addressed the form and the alignment of the buildings to one another, and you can see where you've got kind of wacky little green space in between the two buildings that are north-south. So we've addressed those. We just made a more efficient site. We've picked up parking, and we've addressed 2-car garages and driveways in lieu of single-car driveways. And we got stormwater. We got a little creative, and we were able to get a little more efficiency on the site. This site plan now is 20 townhomes. We do pick up surface stormwater, and we also get parking, not only to meet code, but parking for marketability purposes. So a little more parking than just meeting code.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a stub road up on there that looks like it's gonna enter into the,
Adjacent home.
well, no, kind of more like into the stormwater retention pond there. Is that kind of the thought, or?
Oh, on
that
the
it-
top?
Yeah.
That's a fire
turnaround.
apparatus turnaround.
Uh,
Because
Okay,
that road is longer than 150 foot, so it requires a turnaround for a fire. So that is just a fire turnaround.
gotcha.
Good question, then.
Where would the garage, on this design, where would the garages be?
So, yeah, the building's on the far left side, and I apologize, the text is tiny. This is building E, it looks like C and D, but these two on the far left have been, and my client even has like an architect on board already. It's starting to look at some of the efficiency and layout. So what we've got on here is 2-car garages on all of those. There's 5 units on the top building and then 5 units on the second building. So the 10 units does have 2-car garages and 2-car driveway.
So they enter from the front?
These will be front loaded,
Okay.
correct. So some of the challenge is getting a wide enough product to still have a sense of arrival or a sense of front door plus that garage, and that's what my client's working through currently with them. The other units, though, would be you're getting more square footage, but you're sacrificing the garage. You're getting surface parking, but you're getting more square footage. The goal here too is a variety of housing, both in size, style, and then 2-story versus 3-story. So this is a variety. The shop front, we were able to maintain almost a similar square footage for these units, but we went from a 55-foot depth to a 45-foot depth, made it a little bit wider, so they're 18 by 45, and that 10-foot really helped us pick up some efficiency on the back of the site. Parking, pedestrian infrastructure, and then in the middle, which, and I know it's hard to see, but the whole idea is how can we create something to really celebrate the street, create some energy or interest. And so I'll show you again some images here momentarily. The idea was a little pedestrian courtyard or promenade or front door to the development, and then potentially, if it's a small restaurant of sorts, you could have spillover cafe or patio space. Streetscape, here we go. This is gonna get interesting. I still can't interpret the streetscape design standards, so you guys are gonna have to help with that, and it doesn't have to happen tonight, but what we've done is we have come up with what we think is the correct right-sized streetscape for this application. So it is 6 foot of pavers from back of curb, by the way, so it's a 2 foot curb gutter, 6 foot of pavers for the buffer strip. Which would have, it would have utilities, would have your street trees and grates or wells, and then your lighting and trash receptacles, maybe some streetscape furnishings. Buffer for vehicles, and then a 12-foot sidewalk. So it's graphic. The plan view just shows some sort of sense of arrival at that, the first floor shop front building, if you will. So a recessed nook or some architectural significance, which we haven't got into yet. Bottom, this is a section kind of showing that relationship, so you can kind of get an idea of the building and the street furnishing the street. And then the modeling is truly just a design tool currently. This is not material, this is not finished. This is for us to study that sense of enclosure, the scale, and also to kind of share that with you guys as we're kind of have balconies, do we not? We don't know yet, but we think we might. So just kind of starting to show some of those features. What's really important for all of us to consider, and I know you have the streetscape design standards, is your streetscape width should always be determined by the type of use, the anticipated use, and pedestrian traffic. So when you're talking about Pleasant Plains currently, and there's no town center currently, and you go to what will, in all effort, when this is built, an 18-foot sidewalk. That's still larger than anything you'll see in uptown Charlotte, other than the skyscrapers, which might go 20 foot. So for context, and there is such a thing too as too wide of a streetscape, which can be detrimental to your shops and detrimental to the intent of what you're trying to achieve with shop front. So I think as a council, it would be, in planning staff, it's probably worth kind of examining what is the right size for streetscape. For you, it's tough because you don't want to set a precedent either. That's not going to achieve what you want. The buffer zone I talked about with the pavers, you can do that with landscape, you can do it with the pavers, which we're doing here. And then this is just kind of a rule of thumb I put on here for the street to building ratio. It's common in urban planning. I won't go in detail, but if you're uptown Charlotte, you're really urban, you're 1-to-1. So if your streetscape from it's right away, by the way. If it's a 60-foot right away, you're at 1-to-1. A 60-foot building is the appropriate scale. Scale has a big impact on level of comfort and the likelihood of people using it. So moving on anyway, this just dawned on me this weekend. I was in Charleston. I was thinking about the project. Charleston is not Stallings. I'm aware of that, but I wanted to capture what arguably people would tell you was one of the greatest walking cities in America. And if you've been there, you've seen it. The shop, the retail, it's extremely activated. It's very safe. It's very functional. Their maximum sidewalk width in their ordinance is 12 foot. So for 12 foot, they're getting everything that we're trying to achieve in Stallings at 18 or 28. So just some things to consider as we move forward. And then I kind of put this little quote on the bottom again, not for me, I'm not asking for any sort of like reprieve, but I think there is data out there that shows if you get too wide and you don't have the foot traffic to support the retail, it'll have a unintended outcome. So something else. So a little more modeling, and then I'll wrap up the presentation. I'm going to take questions. This is, again, not design. This is a tool for us for just to kind of create experience, scale. We're still playing with what's the right height. 2 stories is all we're proposing on the shop front, but do we have taller roofs or do we go shorter? We don't know yet, and we're open to suggestions, but this is just a planning tool at this point in time. This is a little bit more detail of that streetscape promenade courtyard I mentioned earlier. So if you can imagine walking up and down Pleasant Plains, you've got people out here sitting at coffee or lunch, cafe, or whatever it is. That's how you activate the space and you make people want to come. So we're just hoping that we can pull something off with this. Again, it's just a planning tool. And then last but not least, just another kind of rendering looking on Pleasant Plains, looking back towards Old Monroe. questions?
Mayor, I got a question.
Questions?
All right, well, thank you, Steve. Yeah, we do have some feedback and questions, and so,
I got-
oh, there's Max. I didn't know, I knew you were still here, but, there we go.
Mayor, I got a question.
Yeah, so Brad, kick us off.
Thank you, Steve. Really helpful. A couple thoughts. I appreciate your expertise, and I think we could certainly lean on your expertise when it comes to streetscape. I think I'm willing, and I would assume many of my colleagues would be willing to talk about the right start for streetscape in our downtown or town center. I'm interested in your ability and your client's ability to deliver a mixed-use project. We have townhomes that are somewhat common and somewhat template and routine, if I could use that word. We haven't seen a shopfront development yet. You'd be the first. Do you have a commercial development partner on board yet? Do you bring one on, or does your client have that expertise?
I'm not sure I can answer that for him. I do think we've been discussing that, and I think the challenge for us as we move forward will be more about how this is managed. You have residential on top, and you've got commercial first floor. I'm not answering your question, but I think we've started the conversation. I don't know if you guys want to answer or not, but I don't know that we have a development partner yet.
Yeah, so that's important to me, at least, on this board, is that this is not just the first streetscape conversation we're having. This is the first shop front. This is the first time that word has been used in our town since 2019 and the plan was developed. So that's really important for you to get your arms around and help us understand how you can deliver that. The right streetscape is part of the question, but a wide, short, skinny streetscape with no retail is just completely unacceptable, right? That would be counterintuitive to what we want here. Second question, and my second of my two. You mentioned several times these are software-driven images that aren't real. They're just for help us to get the feel of space and design and ratios and all that. When do you think you'd have something to share with us that is more concrete from a material perspective and form?
Well, I know I can speak for my client. We'd be willing to do that sooner than later if it helped the council, like, understand some of the terms with materiality. Technically, that wouldn't occur until permitting, right? From my understanding, but I know that before then, we'd be happy to do something sooner.
Yeah, I only ask that because you did it to yourself, and I'm smiling when I say this because you did a great job. You showed us so many really interesting images. All right, Charleston, I saw one from our plan. I saw one that looked like it was from the middle of London. I don't know where it came from. Really cool things, but then some were not attractive, some were really cool. I just don't know where we're headed, and I know it's important for me at least to kind of understand, again, this is precedent setting and character setting for our town. I'm curious as to how you and your client would respond to that to us as soon as you can.
Well, yeah, those are great points, by the way, Brad. And again, like,
I did, yeah.
I'm truly excited about this project.
Yeah, I thought so.
It is a catalyst. It is a precedent, right? And we need to get it right.
Yeah.
What we would do, now that we have these plans, what I would call a marketing plan, now we go ahead and start talking to developers that we know that are into this type of retail or development. The challenge is going to be, and they're going to say, what's the traffic count? How many people are walking up and down the street currently? None. What does it connect to? What doesn't connect to anything yet?
Right.
That's going to be the challenge. It's going to be a huge hurdle. And what I want to do is protect my client, because there is great risk in building shop front, especially the first time in your community. And we really don't know if it's going to be steadily activated by walking traffic, if you will. So
Right.
shop front is reliant on foot traffic, and that's one thing we don't have yet, and it'll be a while before we do.
Yeah,
But
makes-
visibility we have, if we have good parking, if we have branding and signage, that's what developers kind of want to hear. And like I said, we can take this, we can start shopping, and we can get a good idea of who's interested, what those uses might be.
Yeah, my last comment, you mentioned branding. I leaned over to town manager when Max put up his conditions, and the last one, if you recall, was please incorporate the use of mill or stone. I leaned over to Alex and I says, which idiot suggested that?
I said the same thing, by the way.
And he said, I did. So I don't remember doing that in the subcommittee meeting. If I did not intend that. I don't plan to want to include anything about your marketing. Perhaps the question was what defines our town from an identity standpoint. I believe that was the comment. And I want you to, I would like you to reflect on, there is some stone architecture in our town, the Rock Store being on our town seal, a historic property, and the history of this town having a couple of mills. That was the extent of my comments. Please remove that condition about adding that as part of your name. That's silly. Not silly for you, silly for me to have intimated that, so, yeah, I'm done.
All right, thank you, Brad. Anybody else? Stephen?
Well, I will take and say that I did go on a little field trip. I worked downtown Charlotte. Believe it or not, they actually do have some streetscapes that are 24 feet wide.
I know they, but at skyscrapers, right? The big buildings.
Yeah, so some of the, but, so I did walk it. I just wanted to, I did take some pictures. I mean, I will be honest, when you're, I had a conversation with Max. When you're throwing out the numbers, it sounds good. I will say that I did take and walk a lot of, Charlotte, I took pictures. I mean, in some of these cases, I think it's worth us looking at what is some of this, because I can tell you, the 24-foot one looks like an ocean of concrete. It did not provide a very
Welcoming.
the look and feel was not there, even though it was in front of a brewery. It felt like a sea of concrete, basically. So I hate to even say I agree with a developer, because that tarnishes my
I'm not a developer, Stephen.
uh,
I'm a designer.
but I will take and say that I did take and I walked Trade and Tryon. I walked all the way down to several directions on Trade, and they varied. Varied all over the place. I did see some that were 18 feet wide. I saw some that were 20 feet wide. Like I said, there are a couple that were 24 feet wide. And I do agree with you that right sizing does, to me, they felt like they were really big, the 24 feet. The 20 feet in front of the skyscrapers didn't seem quite as bad, but I do think that, for me personally, I think I'd like to understand that, digest that a little bit more. Like I said, I just did this on Friday. And I think the numbers I wrote down here, Max, is that the streetscape as defined would be 22 feet, right?
Right.
Okay, and you're proposing 18 feet. All right, okay. I just wanted to make sure that my addition worked correctly. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Actually, full transparency, I did talk with Steve outside of, just over in the town. So he's answered a lot of my questions there.
All right. Lori?
Yeah, so you said that you're gonna put in a variety of architectural forms and features. Put that on the map, and it's already on there?
No, I just wanted to, I know that very small text on the screen. One of the conditions is that the architectural elevations are going to go back to planning board before it's approved. Additionally, materials are on there that we're requesting 18 inches. So, those are showing like frontage, which is a common theme here also. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that for aesthetic requirements that they are covered a little bit. Just to make sure you knew that was in the conditions.
Also, you said you don't have a client for the commercial aspect. So the next time you come in, I don't know, I'd like to get a feel for what they're thinking about doing.
I misspoke when I said that. I have a ton of clients who do commercial retail. We don't have any specifically here yet. It's very early, and I'll be honest, it is very risky for anyone looking at it as well. And So I think for us, the challenge is gonna be, how do we package it up? How do we find consensus even with council? And then how can we make it a little more attractive to would-be rich developer? I know they're out there, but again, without the foot traffic and with no precedent, I think it's at risk. I know there's some out there that will do it. We just gotta find those folks.
Saying that the retail is a risk?
I think it's
Yeah. They-
because the shopfront retail that we're trying to achieve is reliant on foot traffic. And I don't think there's a lot of foot traffic out here right now in Pleasant Plains. So I'm hopeful that the visibility with the cards, like I said, branding will help. But for a retail developer, they would have some consternation about that. But I do think the housing is a huge component. You need to have more residential to support that neighborhood village, if you will. So having the housing there and hopefully as more come online will help activate those retail shops.
So are you putting apartments? The retail is 2 stories. Is there apartments above that?
They'd be like a loft. They'd be single family attached loft.
But those are rental apartments or,
Now that we decided.
oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
They could be, okay. But the other ones are townhomes.
Person, and I don't, again, there's a lot we gotta shake out. There may be someone that comes in and says, well, I want 2 shop fronts. I've got a big operation, or I've got 6 or 8 accountants on my professional consultancy, so I don't know that how it's gonna shake out yet. And they may end up taking up 2 of those shop fronts. And the challenge for us is you gotta have firewalls between your single family attached, so the lofts upstairs are gonna be independent, but they might be owner occupied, if you will, for retail or commercial. I mean, we just don't know what that looks like yet. But there's a lot of options that I think would be attractive to a lot of folks.
And I would remind the council that ownership pattern is not a land use issue.
Well, I just want to say that, like Steve, I don't usually agree with developers, but I like this layout. And I'm glad you got the buildings up front and shared parking. I love shared parking and connecting to whatever parcels. There's nothing on them yet, but I like that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, Graham?
So, first off, I will ignore the King Street. I'm not going to comment on that. But I do have a question. There's A and B. Go back. It looks like you have 12 storefronts, potential stores on the bottom, with then 12 residential units on top.
Correct.
But there's only 22 parking spaces in front of A and B. I mean, if each one of those 12 stores has just one employee pulling in. My concern would be the parking, and then I know that, the goal is to have this be walkable, but as you said, this being the first development, there's going to be a lot more people driving to support this commercial at the start.
So we still kind of evaluate that. What we have done though, is we intentionally got creative to try to add more parking. We do meet code, which is only like 1.5 per shop front, which is not enough. That's 2 employees. That's not even 2 employees, right? So I think that's a great question. We're also trying to give some thought to that, but we added more than, so we meet more than code, if you will, because marketability was a big factor for the developer, the client. We're not, in my world, if this gets really activated and it's thriving, we don't have no parking. I would agree. That's a good problem to have, because then if you got other streets or other properties coming online, you get that streetscape starting to connect, because there's a lot of action here. That's a good problem to have.
Have the mixture of commercial, residential with this similar layout, or just this?
I don't think so. Oh, they do, never mind, there we go.
And would the storefronts, sorry, does it have to be 12 stores, or would there be larger to take up?
Yeah, and that's what Max, we talked with Max about that. I kind of wanted to strike, what we put on here was up to 12 shop fronts. Because I think there might be folks in the market that would rather have 1,600 square foot versus 800 or whatever that is. They would want to. Right, so there's gonna be some flexibility on that first floor for the shop. Right, that was your question.
Yeah, essentially. I was trying to understand what you're coming to us for and what.
Okay.
There's a lot of really fine print. Fortunately, I have an iPad and I can back, almost all of the units appear to be 3-story. How does that fit in with the surrounding neighborhood?
And three, so the ones with garages are definitely 3-story, because
Yeah.
the whole first floor is consumed by a garage and a foyer and a little bit of real estate on the first floor. So we having a 3 stories to make those marketable. That was part of it, and then the building directly behind is 2-story, because we thought the 2-story adjacent to the parking lot best was more complementary to the 2-story shop fronts.
Okay.
The building behind is 3, maybe.
Looks like C, D, and E are 3-story. Again, I don't know if I must have been looking at my thing and not listening well. How does it blend in with the surrounding?
That's where we
Neighborhoods.
have more modeling that we're exploring. That's what we started looking at with this was make for Stallings, the scale was really 2-story, which is what we feel like is kind of the precedent. And so that's why we're keeping them 2 on the shop front. The building behind we're keeping 2, and we're exploring that 3rd in the back. The modeling will help, but the modeling is not real, obviously. So I think we need to study that more. But I think from the street level, you're not really gonna notice it.
Yeah.
But we'll study that more.
Yeah, the 3-story, just like Bailey Mills and Stone Creek.
There's really, I mean, I can tell you, my neighborhood's across the street, but, I mean, we're gonna be separated by 5 lanes of the wonderful Monroe widening.
Maybe.
Well, eventually, in 3030. So, and then there's kind of the homes, there, I think there still are some properties there that probably will eventually see redevelopment.
On Potter?
Yeah.
Well, to sort of summarize, Steve, where I see this, there's a lot of unknown questions still out there. And I know you're looking for some direction from us on conditional zoning, but to me, council, it's just a lot of, even Steve said, they're working through a lot of things. So before we close the public hearing, you know, I wouldn't want to call for a vote tonight, because I just think there's just too many unknowns out there that we need to provide Steve with some information, the developer with some information, Max with some feedback. So do y'all agree, or what?
I do.
I think it would be a continuance.
Yeah, it'd be a continuance.
Okay, so we wouldn't close the public.
Right.
Okay.
So, but do we have any more questions for Steve or Max?
Yeah, have
Go
you
ahead.
designed the streetscape in the front, or is it just kind of general, this is what it's gonna look like?
General, we haven't that's what we have. We're looking, right now it's more about scale and right sizing it. We can come back and do drawings with lighting, that you guys, I think, had in streetscape standards guidelines, but you have lighting and benches, you have receptacles, and we can show that, that's not an issue. We have not gone past this level yet.
All
Gotta
right.
get the scale right before we start adding.
All right, any other questions? Feedback for Steve right now, or Max? All right, wait a minute, we're gonna do public comments on, anybody has any comments on this?
You
All
want-
right, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, part of the public hearing, is there anybody that is here that wishes to speak about this project from the public?
I just got a question, so.
Sir, if you could come up here and state your name and give us your address, please.
I don't live in Stallings, but I
Does-
got property in Stallings.
Doesn't matter, just,
My address is 5318 Black Oak Lane,
and your name, please?
Matt Austin.
Thank you, sir.
I was told from when the road construction was completed, and I mean, maybe this is true, but what is this 2 to 5 year sewer limitation? I thought all that was gonna be solved with the road improvement.
I have no idea who told you 2 to 5 years on
Well, I
sewer.
mean, it was on his slide, it was like
No.
a 2 to 5 year limitation or something.
Yeah, go ahead, Max.
A lot of developments are unable to get sewer capacity. 5-year vesting period. It's not sewer capacity, just allows them
Have capacity at that intersection for commercial growth at this point, or?
That's a Union County question.
to.
Man, I didn't see you sit there. Matt's an old friend, actually. I went to school with him. Let's grab coffee sometime. I'll bring you up to speed on all the sewer stuff in town. Yeah.
And another thing too is that, I mean, Proton David said, are we developing what's surrounding us? Well, I've lived here 52 years.
Mhm.
Nothing's changed. So we don't want to develop what's around us. I mean, these are old houses that were built in the 40s. I mean, this little area right here has not changed one iota. And foot traffic, that's coming back and forth from the sober living. I mean, on Pleasant Plains. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we got 14 acres over here at Pleasant Plains and Potters, and he's getting converters cut off his trucks, and I mean, it's just ridiculous. Time for a change.
Good. Let's talk. Yeah, thanks.
All righty, well, can I get a motion to continue the public hearing?
Do you have a date set?
Do we have a date? Okay, August. You're out of town?
I move that we continue the public hearing and what?
Well, that's a month away, but David's out of town, so he'd like for us to do it the first meeting in September, which would be what, Max?
September 8th.
So let's get a deferral till September 8th.
Continuance. to
Continue,
September
excuse
8th.
me, yeah, I said continuance the first time, though. There you go. So can I get a motion on that?
I move that we continue the public hearing to September 8th, and that the applicant come back with answers to all the comments that we've made.
All right, motion by Laurie, second by Graham, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, done, ayes have it. Thank you, Max, thank you, sir. Steve, thank you. All righty, next up is rezoning 25.03.01 for Lawrence Daniel General Rezoning from MU2 to MF2. So I'll open the public hearing and bring on Katie, Ms. King. All right, any questions for Katie? The only one I have, and I'm sure Mr. Marsh can, I don't see the connectivity to Woodbridge. They both are cul-de-sacs, correct? Right, but I'm talking about, there's no entrance to this Lawrence Daniels from Woodbridge. It's dead end, it's a cul-de-sac. Right, so I'm, you know, you said they were concerned about traffic, increased traffic. Yeah, it's minimal. All right,
I think a lot of people thought that it
So
was
they would extend that,
multifamily.
the
Oh.
cul-de-sac?
So,
yeah, I don't know why we have it.
Okay, so it'd be a shared driveway of maybe 3 or 4. That's our, is that our road, Stallings Road? Yes. Okay. Okay.
All right, any more questions for Katie?
A general one, as I would understand, you would argue, Katie, now that this was miszoned, if I could use that word, back in 2019 to MU2 because it was sort of separated from the RE apartments with this big undevelopable piece of land in the middle. And I get that. There's also a piece to the east of this. Has that been, yeah, that piece where your mouse actually sits right, no, there's a little dot there now. Yeah, what's going on with that one? Should we be thinking about rezoning that one? Okay. Very good. So it's just being used for single family now. Okay. Just just a thought.
All right, any other questions for Katie? Thank you. I'm sure we might have some more, but Doug, do you have anything that you wanted to talk about?
No, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, any questions for Doug Marsh, the developer, owner? Yeah. All right, and then I'll open it up for public comments. Does anybody in the audience wish to speak about this general rezoning? All right, not seeing none. Any last questions for Katie before I close the public hearing? All right, we'll close the public hearing. So what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Hearing no objection and getting a planning board approval was helpful, and this was a very nice presentation, so I'll make a motion to approve RZ 25.03.01. Can I also combine that statement of consistency with it, or no?
No, we got to do them separate,
All
don't
right,
we, Mac?
You can combine them.
Oh, well, let's do that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that this is consistent and reasonable with the comprehensive land use plan.
All right, good move. There we go. Motion by Brad, seconded by David. All in favor? Ayes have it. All right, thank you, Katie. Thank you, Doug. All right. Next up is Blair Mill Park signage damage from Eunice. Thank you.
While Aaron is pulling this up, I usually love talking to you guys at these meetings. Unfortunately, I have a not so fun item for y'all. As you know, about exactly a month ago at Blair Mill Park, there was some vandalism done on some signage there. This is just one piece of equipment that we in-house can't seem to remove ourselves. We've taken care of all the other damage out on the park, but with this sign and the material that it's made of, approved hands. We've even talked to Public Works. However, we've reached a point where we're gonna have to outsource getting this fixed route we would like to go. What we've done is we reached out to our sign installer. I asked them for worst case scenario once they pull this sign out and get it back to their shop. Worst case scenario, we're looking at $7,500, and that is for a total sign replacement. I'm hoping that that's not the case. We were able to get the graffiti off of the metal that says Blairville Park, but it's that paint, it's just the way it is. It's really rough, so it's kind of gotten in there, and we just can't scrub it off or use any kind of equipment to get that. So $7,500, that's the whole shebang redone. We're hoping that it's gonna be less than that. However, I'm asking that you guys approve moving $7,500 to pay for this signage and what that may cost. But like I said, the $7,500, that is the maximum that we are hoping to spend for this. And also, while we were on the topic of getting this replaced, the vandalism, y'all requested that I get a quote together for the Stallings Municipal Park camera systems to be updated. That is gonna come to you guys in August, and we thought this might be a good opportunity, if the council so wishes, to get a quote together for cameras at Blairville Park and add that on to the proposal that I will present to you guys at that August 11th council meeting, if y'all so wish. I can't tell you exactly how much that is gonna look like right now, because power out there, there's a few things I just have to work through, but I'll have all those answers for you guys at that August 11th meeting. So all I'm asking for you guys is to appropriate $7,500 to get this sign fixed, and then also, if y'all so wish, to approve me getting the quote to present to you guys back.
All right.
August 11th.
Well, we'll take care of the first one here. Can I get somebody to make a motion to approve the amended
Can I ask
budget?
a quick question?
Oh, yeah.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, if something like this happened at my house, I'd be on the phone with my insurance company and say, yep, I'm gonna be making a claim. I'm assuming either we have a high deductible or obviously, if you make a claim against your insurance, it drives it up. So I guess that's my question is, why wouldn't we use insurance for this?
So, Alex, want me to, or you got it?
I'd be happy to do that, yeah. So, the, great question. Our deductible is $2,500.
Okay,
And as a general rule of thumb, if something's 3 times your deductible, at that point you want to go with insurance. We're right on the line there. But the deciding factor for me, and why I would recommend going this route and paying out of pocket, is, first of all, let me say $7,500 to you and me is a lot of money,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I know.
But from the town as an organization, it's a smaller amount, and we carry and are conservative with the way we manage our money. And because of that, we have funds in reserve for things like this. And because it's a smaller amount proportionally, it doesn't mean we don't take it seriously, we do. It's not a larger amount. The 3 times, there's a little bit more wiggle room because it is a smaller amount. And so that's why, does that make sense? That's why
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
recommend playing out of
I
pocket.
just wanted to ask the question.
Because we spend more now, but we're likely gonna spend more money in the long run with an increase in premiums.
Gotcha. Yep, okay. I just wanted to ask the question.
No, that was a very valid question. Yes, sir.
All right.
I had a question. Is
Yeah,
there
Graham.
anything we can do to the sign to make it
I think Graham was talking about, is there some type of coating that they can put on there?
I can ask, I think the problem is that it's not this nice glossy feeling, it's because it's textured. So, but I can definitely ask them, and hopefully,
All right.
I'll ask, yeah, of course. Yeah, and I'll update you guys if they can, or
All right, any other questions? All right, can I get somebody to make a motion to approve amended budget ordinance number 1 for $7,500?
So moved. Oh,
Oh, motion by Laurie, second by Graham. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, that's unanimous. Thank you, Eunice. Oh, and then a consensus about the cameras for Blair Mill. Yeah, okay, getting a quote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just add it to it and separate it so we can.
Yes, sir. I'll definitely do
Sam's,
that,
yeah.
so y'all can decide what you want.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief sitting on the front row there. Is there something you need? No. Well, you were usually right back here, so I thought maybe there's something urgent out there.
And you haven't been able to
It was full
break,
house.
break any bones for who perpetrated this? Get the weapon.
All right. All right, next up, Town Center available listed land, Brig. Hey, thanks for being here.
So it's bridge or
Bridge, like a.
bridge? Yeah, okay.
It's spelled. Priorities and action strategies, council requested that city staff present information on available listed land in the town center area. Right now, the town center doesn't have any for sale, areas. So I'm just gonna show you some parcels that can be developed, that are able to be developed. I also left some maps over here that are more zoomed in. Right here, we're just looking at where the town center is located, in that circle,
just
blue,
take
as well as
paper.
over here in the dark.
Oh, okay, sorry.
A lot of maps, so.
There you go. Sorry.
So this dark blue is your town center, just to get some feel of where you are. This light blue here is where we're located right now. Our future land use dictates about 5 different uses for this land. The town center, suburban commercial center, which is just red areas. Here, single family neighborhood, which is just these 2 little yellow areas, and multifamily neighborhood, which is just a very small portion around here.
Bridge, can you call out the streets? 'Cause we're looking at colors. but-
So right here is Stallings Road.
Okay.
Cursor is. Where that like kind of jagged lines are, there's Oakland Road. That's where the NCDOT took most of their right of way. First, we need to look at where NCDOT took their land because a lot of that was in our town center area. All of these parcels, most of them are except for right here. These were all taken by NCDOT, so they're not developed. They're gonna be used for
They're vacating those parcels that you just pointed out. They're actually tearing those buildings down today.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Did they then? So they may look open and able to be developed on the map when you look at them. So these 2 parcels are also within the town center. They're pretty large, but they're also not able to be developed because they're behind current businesses.
What did you say? They're behind what?
I'm sorry,
You said they're behind something.
current businesses.
They have no road frontage?
Okay, so those are behind, that's the Asian market.
That in front of the, is that
Grace
Potter
Academy.
Road?
Yep.
This is Pleasant
Yeah.
It's a plain,
and then Potter Road.
Yep.
okay, what is it in front of that pink parcel? Yeah,
That's all.
Landscape Supply
Landscape
Company.
company, yeah.
oh,
Landscaping material, like mulch.
yeah.
But the owners of the land have shown interest in selling to developers and to town staff. So they're not currently for sale, but they're interested in some way in selling this.
What about the corner one there? The-
Right here.
Yep.
We haven't heard anything from them and don't have developers. I know developers talked to these three up here.
Just so that, I know we talked about it, but there where Athens Pizza is, for those that aren't aware, that's gonna be a turnaround right there, so it's gonna eat into that road.
Yeah, so this right here, where you see like this building, that's where NCDOT used to, and then this part is open to the public. These are some vacant parcels that can be developed, that are able to be developed, again, not for sale. But they are out parcels for that Potter Square Shopping Center, which is where the market is. They're in Midtown, they're obviously zoned down center, and the watershed is West Fourth Colorado Creek, which I believe has sewer capacity, or sewer capacity in Earth Creek.
Say that again,
I
please.
believe has sewer capacity.
Okay.
And so this is a big one. Again, NCDOT keeps the southern portion. So on our future land use, this is zoned NCDOT.
Yep. Where is that?
It's
Oh,
off
oh,
of
oh,
Campus
I got you.
Ridge, So we're
I got you.
right here.
Yeah, I
like
got you.
the eye doctor. And then this is another one off of Campus Ridge Road. These two parcels are owned by different people. There's a very small sliver right here and then a larger parcel. They're both vacant. The larger parcel is what's being developed if the owner wanted to change ownership. And again, they're in the future land use of NCDOT right away, but NCDOT took the ownerships. These two parcels are right off of Stallings Road. You can see right here in the corner is where the Stallman Park is, and Stallings Road right here. This large parcel is currently under contract to sell. This one is owned by someone different. These two together, we've seen plans or ideas for plans, but nothing concrete yet that has come across our desk. But there's a large sign out there by the developers that kind of show a retail area with like a food hall, and there's also for sale in Central Shopping Center. So that's, I think, what we're getting for this large area, but again, we haven't seen any concrete plans come across our desks yet.
Are y'all actively talking with them or? Okay, okay. Okay, so, I mean, at one time, I think, Max, you had said you hadn't heard anything from them, but,
In several months.
but,
But they put, last time I talked to them was to take down the sign.
and so has that sparked some additional discussion now, or is that?
People have been contacting me.
Right, but I guess what I'm trying to find out here is that you're not in conversation with this developer. As far as actively any type of active, moving towards it.
Not at this moment, but they,
Okay, okay.
Are just larger parcels,
I thought we do own that
we
one.
own, we, yes, we own this, one. I was just about
Okay.
to say that. We own this parcel up here, it's the old John Deere building.
All right. Any questions for Bridge?
No,
All right.
thank you for doing this.
Yeah, great job. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I
And,
was wondering who they were.
and Bridge, is there like like, did you email this, a digital document that, of what you showed? That's part of the, is that part of the packet, all of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can email you separately.
I,
Those maps if
if,
you want them, those were just the ones that were included, they're just larger versions.
okay.
You can see it.
Okay, okay, yeah.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Alex, timeline for North Carolina General Assembly members' engagement regarding repairing roads and potential property annexation in Union West Business Park.
Yes, sir. One of the board's priorities in its strategic plan has been essentially to support and build up Union West Business Park. One of the items that we've heard there has been the road situation. The DOT has come in and repaved some of the roads that are DOT's responsibility, but they're still privately owned roads that are in poor condition. Coming out of the Economic Development Committee and talking with council at the annual retreats, one of the ideas has been, do we approach our elected representatives in Raleigh and see if they'd be willing to eventually put money in the budget to help fund road improvements to help support the business park. I believe last time we spoke on the topic, the board selected the mayor pro tem, and Mr. Richardson as the representatives to reach out to the Assembly members. And then the next step in that plan was for me to kind of bring it back up and see if y'all wanted to set any timeline. So really this is just a reminder so y'all can have the conversation amongst yourselves, see what the timing might be, and staff are here to support you all in that endeavor, whatever action you choose.
Does anybody know off the top of their head when it recessed next? Are they recessed right now? So they're back on?
Recess now.
They're recessed right now? So why don't we contact them right now, us three, individually, Todd, Dean, and
Willis.
Willis, and see if we can set something up. Because when did they go back in session, Mac? September?
They haven't set a date. Everyone is expecting that it will be in early September.
Okay, so we got time. All right, because there's got to be money in economic development and the massive budget of North Carolina that give us, some money to repave those roads. So, not, it's an economic development, and so them to find the money, and Dean's good at that, so.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's wrong to ask at this point either. It's been very quiet out there since the state repaved 2 of the 4 roads. My only inclination is perhaps before we call is to maybe coordinate, and I think we have an economic development meeting, but it's not until October. I feel like it ought to go there with Deborah, who's our contact out there, the president of the of the association, just to get a singular message, and she would be part of that reach out too, I think. That would be more powerful, so. But that's, we won't talk about it again in committee till October, so I'm happy to do something before, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Alex. I just haven't heard a whole lot out there. An ask for money without a plan feels like reach. So I feel like we ought to have a coordinated plan before we do. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I agree. And talking with Dean and paying attention to what the others are doing, it's, the bills that were proposed that would impact our zoning, and several of them, there's 3 or 4 of them that we're going through, and that would severely impact what towns across the state, not just here in Union County, could or could not do. Took a lot of their energy and time trying to figure out whether it's gonna go or not. Took a lot of North Carolina League of Municipalities' time and Central Iona's time, and that was more my focus. I haven't talked to Dean about anything but that. On Todd, I haven't talked to him about anything but that for months, because it kept resurfacing and resurfacing. And in case you didn't know, Mark Brody has announced his retirement from, this will be his last term, so he'll be out next year.
Well, Brad, why don't you contact the Union West president?
Okay.
Tell her what we want to do and
Debbie Edwards.
sort of spearhead our efforts.
Yep.
If you would, please.
Okay.
Nice. I mean, you said that 2 of the roads got paved by the state?
Yeah, they
Took
are.
him over.
They did take them over. And which 2 roads was that, just out of curiosity?
Union West, the main road in,
The main road in?
and then Sharon Lane. And it's because there are some residents who live at the end of Sharon Lane, so they're required to, as part of the bypass agreement, since they cut off access to those residents, they're required to maintain access to those residents. There's like 5 houses. The Sharon family owns some of the land.
And that's way back in the back.
I mean, what's the main road, and then to the left, excuse me, to the right and on the way. So what's not done is the Beltway Boulevard and, I forget the other name.
Cupped oak.
Cupped Oak.
That's the one that kind of cuts off to the left and then kind of splits both ways.
Yeah,
Okay.
some sore need of help. What would be really helpful, though, is a business relocation project that could go there. That would be another incentive. So if all the pieces come together, we could probably put together enough money to do it. That sort of speaks to that strategy, which is just taking a back seat as other things have happened. But I'll reach out to Deborah, re-engage her, for sure.
Thank you, Brad. All right, next up is our Stormwater and Infrastructure Committee application consideration. So everybody should have this application from Ms. Heidi Sinsley, if I'm pronouncing that right. Has anybody met her, know her? You didn't meet her when she just emailed it?
I thought that was her sitting there.
I thought that's what it was too. I was gonna apologize for bringing her last, but Fleming Lane, anybody know off the top of the head where that is? Callenwood? Yeah. Want to make sure she lives in Stallings, and it's Callenwood. All right.
I move approval of Heidi Simsley's application for stormwater and infrastructure committee.
Okay,
Mayor, if I may, can I add something to that? The council needs to waive their policy for appointing applicants to committees. Your policy states that they have to attend a stormwater, or a meeting of the committee before which they are applying, before you consider their application. However, due to quorum issues with the Stormwater Infrastructure Committee, they haven't been able to meet. So we're asking the council waive their policy in order to appoint her without attending a meeting, and her term would be up in March 31, 2026. Also, that would need to be stated as well.
I move that we waive our town policy for attending a committee meeting due to, there not being any meetings. And we approve the Heidi Sinsley's application for Stormwater Infrastructure Committee with term ending March 31st, 2026.
all right.
Second.
Motion by Graham, second by, was that you, Brad? And to approve this application, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, Kevin, sorry to keep you last.
Request an amendment to our TIA ordinance. No changes to the thresholds that trigger a TIA, so we still have 1,000 daily trips and or 100 AM or PM peak hour trips that trigger our requirement for a TIA. But really what I'm proposing is to give the developer an option to utilize their own consultants to perform these TIAs. And with that as well, so really how that process would go, or let me take a step back. Our current process goes is developer reaches out, they trigger our TIA, they give us funds, and then we utilize typically an on-call consultant to perform the TIA from start to finish. A lot of efficiency issues with that, or we change orders just through the TIA itself, with the limited availability that we have as staff, just to be timely with meetings, keep up to speed on every piece of those TIAs. So really just proposing this as an efficiency improvement for the developer. A lot of the times developers, they have so how the process would be proposed is what we're proposing is the consultant would pay their own TIA, or excuse me, the developer would pay their own consultant to perform the TIA, and we would hire a on-call consultant to perform, assist us with reviewing that TIA, and that would be at the sole cost of the developer. So developer comes to us, they trigger a TIA, we would coordinate with our on-call consultant, get price for that TIA review, give that back to the developer, developer signs off on that, developer pays us, pays our consultant, and then they rock and roll with the front of the TIA. And we still have all authority to make amendments. We have authority to say, no, we don't like how this doesn't smell right. We want to take this on ourselves and hire our own consultant as well. So really, it's just a proposal to improve efficiency. We maintain authority. We are still reviewing on behalf of the town, so we can negotiate on behalf of the town as well. And really just trying to improve efficiency in this regard. It's what I'm typically used to as well. It's what how the city of Charlotte does it. It's not unheard of as well.
Well, that answers one of my questions then. So there's somebody else doing this model.
Yep.
All right. And then, second question, so developers are used to this model? Because
Yes.
obviously you're hiring two consultants, so it's going to double their cost. I don't know how much a TIA costs, but,
The one thing about Charlotte, TIAs can be very expensive. They can be upwards of $50,000 depending on size and scope. And just to review that would be maybe 10 of that cost. So it'd be a little more money, but I think the time they make up for getting it done.
and then would we have an in-house review firm?
We have three on-call.
Three on-call?
consultants
All right.
That we would rotate.
Okay.
They're all equally qualified.
All right, those are my three questions. Anybody have any questions for Kevin?
So the developer gets their own consultant and does their thing, and then our consultant reviews it. He doesn't do a whole new study, okay.
Correct.
Similar to what, Cottage Green, they came in with their own TIA guy. Of course, he's do what's best for his client, and then so
And that's staff's there for. and
staff to review it, so.
support of our consultants.
Yes, Steve?
So you brought up a great question, though. Does that mean we're gonna have it feels like the reason why you're wanting to do this is save the back and forth or being the go-between between the consultant and the developer. Are you gonna end up being the go-between during the discussion point between the developer and the town and our consultant when we don't think that they've kind of done what we agree with the TIA? Well, I mean, take College Green for example. It feels like there's been a lot more going back and forth at the back end of the TIA with this developer and DOT and us. Is it, I guess what I'm asking is like, are we gonna gain efficiency on the front end, but maybe lose it on the back end? Like it feels like we're doing with Cottage Green, sorry.
Not necessarily. And the reason I say that is because where we're held up now is basically coordinating NCDOT improvements. And so we wouldn't even be at this point if we didn't have that report done.
Okay.
Showing all the numbers, queuing lanes, levels of service. So basically what I'm saying is that the developer was able to get that done quicker
Okay,
and get us to this point quicker to negotiate.
okay, all right.
Any other questions for Kevin?
So I'm not fully, I think I'm just not fully understanding current process is we go out, we hire our own consultant, they do the study for us, and then that's when we back and forth. So it's right. You just go out, we tell them, okay, you're free to go out, hire whoever you want, come back with the study.
We would sign off on the consultant that they choose. Somebody has a bad reputation for whatever reason. Not saying that I have an example of that, but we would have the option to say, no, we don't agree with the consultant that you're choosing. And we can either say, we'll do it or pick a new consultant.
I guess that's where I'm just. I didn't see that in the language that they have to present it to us.
Subject to approval.
So that's, and then do you have people that,
Ask for references and see what other projects they've done. Make sure they're qualified. Especially give examples of similar projects that they've done.
what, sorry, last thing. What if there is this giant, they hire a consultant, they come back, they've done their TIA, we then get them to do, we can get them to pay for our.
Any other questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the council? And is this just an update? It says information only, Kevin. Do we?
Oh, I am requesting this updated amendment as.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve TIA ordinance amendment. Sections A and F of our current ordinance are amended per Kevin's red line.
Right, okay. A and E. All righty. Motion by Brad to approve, second by Graham. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have it. All righty. All right, make sure I get this right now. Can I get a motion to recess this meeting? Do we need to pick a date or just to the
July 28th.
Date, time, and place.
July 28th, 6 PM here at Town Hall?
Second.
Motion by.
I'll make the motion to recess.
Motion by Brad, seconded by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All righty.
Thank you.
Oh, we just got under the limit there.
Guys, Jake under?
Oh, what is it, 8:59?
57.
I think if we're within 3 minutes, I can.
Yeah, Aaron.
It's true.